Imagine a cold, dark, wet night in Seattle. It's the kind of night that you'd appreciate just being bundled up and cozy in your own home. Yet somehow, I managed to find myself in the parking lot in a Bartell's drugstore on one of these particular nights. I was starting to rethink if I ever should have come in the first place when a boy around the age of 17 or 18 came up to us. As we handed him a bag and started a conversation, he stopped after a minute and he said, "I really like you guys because you're not afraid to talk to me and you treat me like a person." After that moment, I was given something that I had lacked previously, a purpose. I'm in 10th grade, a sophomore. What I like about this year is that it's given me the opportunity to observe. The scariness and newness of high school is over from freshman year, and the craziness and pressure from junior year has yet to hit me. And what I've gotten and observed from just sitting back and watching is that I've noticed a pattern. The students that I'm most encouraged to be like, the ones who play all the right sports, take all the right classes, who look the part, whenever I've talked to them, they all say around the same thing. It feels as if they're empty inside or like they're missing something, even though on the outside, it looks like they could have everything they could want. I think over time, they've lost their internal purpose. They care more about the count of the things they're doing rather than the content, and I think it's made all the difference. And as I thought about this, a question came to mind. Why aren't students asked why they do things, not just what we do? I feel as if there's this unspoken pressure to fill up our schedules with as many activities as we can, but I've come to learn that this mindset is not healthy. No student or no person is motivated to never have time for themselves. That's just what our society values now. The more things you can have on your resume, the better, and if that means you sacrifice your well-being in the process, so be it. The students of today have switched from an internal motivation to an external one. No award is big enough, no level is high enough, no grade is good enough. We no longer have time anymore to reflect on why we do this, and I've seen what it does to people, including me. I sometimes don't get to spend time with some of my closest friends because we're all so caught up in our own world that we start to lose time to connect, truly connect. Not just over a screen. We lose our sense of self as we're compared to those who do more and have achieved more. Our identities aren't about what we do, not who we are. As I walk around my school, I feel as if there's this barrier between the students where we don't even have time anymore to have a real conversation, or that we're too scared of what the other person might think of us if we act vulnerable. We're told to get good grades because if we don't, we won't get into a good college. Then we won't get a good job. Then we won't make enough money, and therefore we won't be happy and we will die alone. At least that's what's been drilled into my head. But what if there's a different way to achieve happiness that doesn't involve losing ourselves in the process? Our end goal doesn't have to be external. What we need to do is learn to value the things that bring back an internal purpose, widen our perspective, and reconnect with the outside world in a real way. I've been able to find something that brings passion back into my life, where I'm unafraid to be vulnerable and learn about myself as a person, that reminds me, at the end of the day, we should value the things that we'll be proud of in the long run. That thing, for me, is giving back. The first time I volunteered was in 7th grade. I only did it because I didn't have a lot of friends at the time, and some girl I had gotten to know was doing it, but I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I didn't really have a direction, and I didn't know who I was or wanted to become, so what did I have to lose? What we were doing was search and rescue, and I had yet to learn that this phrase would have 2 meanings in my life by the end of it. We got a quick rundown that we'd be going to Seattle, getting in some vans, and going to different locations to help the homeless. Although my parents were understandably a little sketchy about the whole situation, as I'd never volunteered before, I got the okay to go. After the ferry ride, we met the people in charge of the whole operation, learned a bit of their stories, and got in a van with the word "hope" painted across it in big yellow letters. At our first stop, we learned how to make a proper bag. One water, a couple sandwiches, hygiene products, clothes, and a blanket if someone asked. But we'd be handing out more than just a survival kit for that night. As I got more comfortable speaking with the homeless people I was helping, they trusted me with their stories. They'd been through so much hardship, grief, and pain in their lives, yet somehow they were still here. As they told me how many of them had come so close to giving up so many times, it showed me that these vans really did give out what they promised: hope. Knowing that I could make a difference, that I could be a part of something that made a real impact in somebody's life, it filled something that wasn't there before inside me, a purpose and a way to fulfill it. It was a privilege, and ever since that day, that purpose has continued to grow and guide me through life. As I've gotten more comfortable in the world of volunteering, I discovered new ways to help that I could never have imagined myself doing before. I went on a week-long backpacking trail work crew through Washington Trails Association, where I worked on a section of a trail to make it easier for people to access. On that trip, I learned a balance between working hard and acknowledging when I needed to take a break. When we were done, it was so rewarding for me and my team to see the difference we'd made. I'm also working in a group of incredible teenage Girl Scouts around Washington called the Global Action Team. While we're there, we're able to learn the power of our voices and teach younger girls that they have a voice too. Then, there's an experience that became one of the biggest aha moments in my life. It was a moment that I will treasure forever. I went down to Ensenada, Mexico during the week of Thanksgiving to build houses through an organization called Homes of Hope. I was completely out of my comfort zone. I would be working alongside strangers in an unfamiliar place and culture. And I had barely picked up a single hammer in my life. But me being vulnerable was what made it so powerful. The entire experience completely opened my eyes, but one moment really stuck out. It was on one of the work days when me and a couple of my friends were playing with a few of the girls in the village. Although at first it was hard for us to connect because of our language barrier, we were eventually able to break through that with games and just playing around. We were coming back from giving them piggyback rides when a woman came by selling donuts. We decided to buy some for the girls we were playing with as we had a couple pesos on us. But I want you to keep in mind that their situation was really rough. They lived in a very poor area with prevalent violence and poverty, so they didn't get a lot of things for themselves. But the first thing they did when we gave them the donuts was run to the little kids around them a share of their treat without hesitation. I got to see the joy that this simple gesture spread. This moment moved me profoundly. Those little girls who had so little proved yet again the beauty of giving. Volunteering and being a youth in action has introduced me to a world where I feel empowered, driven, and purposeful. I'm no longer aimless and unsure like I was in 7th grade. Every step I take in this journey is a way for me to search for and rescue who I truly am. Yet the simplest yet most effective thing about it is that it's not about me at all. When I feel stupid or not good enough, I volunteer by tutoring younger kids to remind myself that I have knowledge to offer. Or when I feel disconnected from our community, I volunteer at a Rotary Auction where I work alongside like-minded people. Or if I feel lost or purposeless, I know I can always go back to where it all began: search and rescue. Through my discovery of this whole other world, I've been able to rescue myself from burning out from meaningless activities, from becoming lost in this demanding society where we value quantity over quality. I've been rescued from forgetting why I do things. 7th grade Juliette could never have imagined the person she is today, but I think she'd be proud of who I've become. When I'm the reason someone smiles who usually doesn't have a lot of joy in their life, it motivates me like nothing else. No good grade could ever give me the satisfaction and pure joy I feel when I've made a positive impact in somebody's life. In our everyday lives, it can feel as if we're lazy for not always striving for better. When I was a kid, I basically did whatever my parents signed me up to do. When I ask my friends about what it was like for them growing up, they all say the same thing. Be it a sport, an instrument, or some other activity, our parents were the ones who decided what we should spend our time doing. And when something sticks, it's a skill for life. Although being a ballerina didn't work out for me, the skill that stuck was piano. Through all the ups and downs, I'm so grateful my parents encouraged me to continue, as it's now an integral part of my lifestyle. But as I grew up, I started to feel more and more of the pressure to become better, that at a certain point, it wasn't even enjoyable for me to play anymore. But after I started volunteering, I was reminded of why I still continue to play to this day. Because I love it, not because others expect me to. That reminder came from the values of volunteering. And I honestly don't know if I would still be playing piano if I hadn't been taught to look for the why. When I'm volunteering, there's absolutely no expectation or looming pressure to be better in the same sense. As we get older, social media is a part of our lives. It's integral, and I've come to notice that it's completely taken away our sense of value. According to a study published by the Journal of Abnormal Psychology, the rates of major depressive episode in the past decade have increased 52% among adolescents. Social media is a place of competition about who is exhibiting the best lifestyle, and it's become more damaging rather than helpful. Although technology is a way for us to connect with people all over the world in ways we've never been able to before, we're neglecting the fact that it's also isolating us and disconnecting us from the real world around us and from ourselves. We lose our sense of gratitude for what we have or what's valuable as we're compared to those who have done more and achieved more. But volunteering brings back our value of what we have, how we can use it, and it surrounds us with a community. I wanted to share my life-changing experiences with you because I hope what has helped me could help you do an internal search and rescue. I've been able to take back parts of my identity one moment at a time. I'm no longer just a piano player. I'm someone who sees the beauty in music. I didn't take another honors math class because I thought it would look good on my college application. I took it because I wanted to know more about the fascinating concept of algebra. Today is the day kids can commit to starting over, to learn we can do things because we love them, not because we feel like we have to. Volunteering has shown me a different way of thinking, and all the while, I'm able to make the world that much of a better place. There aren't that many things in life that turn out to be such a win-win situation, but this is one of them. What a beautiful world it would be if every student made volunteering a part of their lives. And that reality doesn't have to be so far off. It can start today. Volunteering changes the way you look at the world in the most beautiful and personal way possible, through your heart. It reminds us that we can make a difference, that we matter, and volunteering will do the same for all of us. So although that cold, dark night in the parking lot of a Bartell's drugstore started off with a feeling of uncertainty and hopelessness, it is now one of hope and opportunity. So why do I volunteer? Because it makes me truly happy. Now it's your turn to search for and rescue your why. Thank you.